The boy who spoke to shadows, he was born in silence. They called him a curse. The forest called him king. When he speak, the shadows obeyed. His name was Olu, though no one called him that until days later. Because for the first 2 nights, the elders debated whether he should be named at all. He was born beneath a blood moon, in a hut near the edge of the whispering forest. A place the villagers avoided, even in daylight, where trees bent the wrong way and birds forgot their songs. His mother, Naya, had dreamt of a child for 12 years. But when her belly swelled in the 13th, she began sleep-talking in foreign tongues. Sometimes she muttered riddles. Other times, she giggled like a little girl. The village healer warned her, "That's no child. That's a gate. You carry something that will open, or close, a path best left alone." But Naya smiled and said only, "He is mine. And the forest listens to him already." When labor came, rain poured without clouds. The air turned thick and humming. The fire refused to light. And every rooster in the village crowed at once, in the dead of night. She gave birth alone, surrounded by old charms and broken mirrors. And when she looked down at the baby in her arms, her breath caught in her throat. Not because he was monstrous, but because he was too calm. His eyes were open. His gaze was fixed on a crack in the ceiling. And when Naya whispered his name, Olu, a gust of wind rushed through the window and every candle in the village blew out. By morning word had spread. He didn't cry. He came without a cord. He stared at me and I felt like he knew me. They didn't celebrate. They didn't bring gifts. They placed salt at her doorstep and left in silence. The priest sent men to bless the hut. The healer brought stones to place under his mat. And the elders, trembling, spoke of the old forest spirits, the ones who once took human form when balance was broken. "That boy," one of them said, "is the return of something we forgot. Something we buried." But Naya wrapped her son in black cloth, kissed his brow and whispered, "The forest did not curse you. It claimed you. And I am only the door you came through." As the sun set that day, the wind picked up again, soft but swirling. It didn't carry the smell of dust or firewood. It carried a voice, one that no villager could understand. But Olu? He smiled. And from that moment on, the shadows began to follow him. Olu did not speak much. But when he did, he never asked questions, only gave answers. Unsettling ones. "Don't drink the water today. She's hiding her coins under the pot. A snake will visit the grain shed tomorrow." They thought it was coincidence. Until it happened again. And again. He played in the dirt but left no footprints. He chased fireflies and they didn't fly away. He stood in the sun but cast no shadow after midday. The old women whispered. He was born with a spirit too old for his body. He's not living forward, he's remembering backward. Children were forbidden to play with him. One curious girl gave him a mango once. The next day she woke up blind in one eye. They said it was the forest claiming a toll. They said he smiled when it happened. He didn't. He was crying. But no one saw. Only his mother stayed by him. She taught him to sweep the compound silently, to leave food at the edge of the woods, and to never speak to the crows, unless they spoke first. Olu obeyed. Not out of fear, but respect. "The forest watches through many eyes," his mother would say. "Some eyes belong to gods. Some belong to things older than gods." At night he spoke in his sleep. Sometimes to his mother. Sometimes to someone else. She would wake and find him sitting up, eyes open, lips moving, hands drawing patterns in the air like threads. "Who are you speaking to?" she asked one night. He blinked once. "To the ones behind the leaves." The village feared him but they did not touch him. Because no curse dared claim him. No disease touched his skin. And when a fever swept through the village taking 4 elders and 2 infants, Olu remained healthy, strong, quiet. Then came the day of the storm. No clouds. No warning. Just thunder, loud and sharp, like a whip cracking across the sky. The wind tore the roof off the priest's hut. A tree split in half. Goats scattered. The river ran backward for 2 whole minutes. And through it all, Olu stood at the edge of the forest, arms open, eyes closed, smiling softly. That night, a meeting was held in the sacred circle. "He's not just the spirit's child," said the priest. "He is the mouth of something ancient. And mouths can be silenced." Some nodded. Some hesitated. But all were afraid. Back in her hut, Naya packed quietly. She knew what came next. "They'll try to take you," she whispered. Olu turned to her and said only, "Let them try. and as he spoke, the shadows lengthened across the walls, even though the candles were still burning. It began with a whisper that wasn't wind. Oh, rhythmic. Not outside but behind his eyes. Come, come, come. Olu stood up from his mat before dawn. His mother still slept, one arm draped protectively over his ankle like a charm. He uncurled her fingers gently and walked barefoot across the compound, through the tall grass, past the sleeping goats, until he reached the forest's edge. The trees stood like elders, tall, silent, judgmental. The air was thick with damp earth and the scent of old secrets. He did not hesitate, because the shadows had already cleared a path. He walked for what felt like hours, or maybe minutes. Time stretched differently here. No birds sang. No insects buzzed. Even the leaves whispered only to each other, and not to him. Until he came to it. A tree thicker than 3 men across, its bark twisted like braided rope, its roots coiled into the ground like sleeping serpents. And at the center of the trunk, a mouth. Not one made by man. Not carved. It grew there, wide, cracked, ancient, like the tree had learned to speak long ago and never stopped. Moved. Slowly. Deliberately. The bark rippled like skin and the mouth opened just enough to breathe. You are early, it said. Asterisk, most do not come until the forgetting is complete. Asterisk. Olu blinked. I don't know what I'm supposed to forget. The tree hummed. Asterisk, then you are still half asleep. Let me wake you. Asterisk. Before Olu could answer, the roots surged forward, not to grab but to surround him. A soft cage. A nest. And then visions. He saw fire. He saw a forest burning but not from flames, from light. A cold, white light that tore branches from the inside out. He saw men in armor dragging something sacred, a statue of a horned goddess, into a pit. He saw a mother crying, her baby taken. Not by death. By greed. And then he saw himself. Older. Wiser. Standing at the center of the village. Cloaked in leaves. Eyes like storm clouds. He gasped. The roots loosened. What was that? He asked. The tree exhaled. Asterisk memories. Some yours. Some borrowed. But all are warnings. Asterisk. You carry the forest's voice, it said. Asterisk. But not all voices are kind. Some want balance. Some want silence. And others want revenge. Asterisk. Olu took a step back. Why me? The tree paused, bark cracking as it smiled. Asterisk because you were born listening. Asterisk. A crow landed on a nearby branch. It didn't caw. It nodded. 3 times. Then flew away. Go back, the tree said. Asterisk, your time isn't yet. But soon they will fear you more than they already do. And fear is a hungry thing. Asterisk. Asterisk, when the silence returns, come back. Bring blood. Asterisk. Olu turned and walked back through the trees, his mind echoing with questions, with visions, with a weight far heavier than his body. By the time he reached the village, the sun had risen. But his shadow was gone. Priest Dogo served 3 chiefs, buried 2 rain callers, and once fasted for 33 days to quiet a plague. He was respected, revered, untouchable. Until Olu. Because for the first time in his life the spirits stopped speaking to him. His cowries fell wrong. His kola nuts cracked in silence. Even the sacred drum, when struck, gave no echo. He tried everything, chants, blood, fire. He whispered into mirrors. He prayed facing the east, then west, then underground. Nothing. The spirits had gone quiet, because they were listening to someone else. He knew who. He had seen Olu standing in the shadows. Not hiding, just waiting. As if the forest had planted him like a seed and he was still growing. So Priest Dogo called a gathering at dusk. Under the baobab tree. Where judgment had always been passed. The entire village came. Men, women, even children, though they were kept at a distance. Naya arrived too, her eyes sharp, her son silent beside her. Dogo stood tall, staff in hand, wrapped in white robes that shimmered faintly in the setting sun. We are out of balance, he said. The rain falls when it shouldn't. The goats birth twins, then eat one. I dream of crows and wake to find feathers in my mouth. The crowd murmured. This boy, Dogo pointed, was born under an eclipse. He walks without footsteps. The spirits won't answer me, because he's taken their attention. That is dangerous. Someone in the crowd whispered. Asterisk, what should we do? Asterisk. Another. Asterisk, send him away. Asterisk. And then someone, no one knows who, said. Asterisk, burn him. Asterisk. Naya stepped forward. You fear what you don't understand. He was chosen, not cursed. You think silence means punishment, but sometimes silence is protection. Dogo shook his head. No. Silence is what comes before the storm. Then Olu raised his hand. Calmly. Like a teacher asking to speak. The crowd hushed. The spirits haven't left you, he said, voice clear, eyes bright. They're just tired of listening to fear. The leaves rustled. The wind picked up. And every candle in the circle flickered once, then burned brighter. Dogo stepped back. You challenge me? Olu looked at him and replied. No. I free you. And with that he turned and walked away. That night, Dogo dreamt of vines crawling through his hut, wrapping around his staff, breaking it. When he woke, the staff was cracked in two. The next morning, the sacred drum, the one no one but the priest could touch, was gone. Only a single feather remained in its place. From that day forward, Dogo never spoke of Olu again. But the village's fear deepened, because they realized something terrible. Olu didn't need their approval, and he had stopped asking for it. The first sign was the birds. They left. One morning the sky was empty. No song. No wings. No feathers. Then the goats gave birth to stillborns. The well water turned cloudy. And the baobab tree that had lived 400 years began to bleed sap like tears. The villagers called it the silent season. Crops withered mid-bloom. The yam leaves curled in on themselves like fists. Rain clouds gathered but hovered just out of reach like they were watching. Every drumbeat sounded dull. Every prayer echoed back like a question unanswered. Even firewood refused to burn right, smoke without flame. They returned to Priest Dogo. But he just stared into the wind. The sacred staff, now split, lay untouched in the corner of his hut. The spirits still would not speak to him. They have chosen another, he whispered. So the villagers did what they had not done in generations. They went to the forest. Not deep. Just the edge. Just far enough to feel the air change. And they left offerings, salt, fowl, coins, charms, and apologies. But the forest gave no reply. Only wind. And a single feather drifting down near the foot of a child. The same child who didn't cast shadows. Oh. They turned to Naya. Beck pleaded. Let him help us. He must know what we've done wrong. He must ask the forest to forgive. But Naya, she had grown quiet too. Her son had stopped speaking at all. He simply listened now, eyes wide, ears tilted slightly, like hearing something beneath the sound of wind. That night, a mother lost her third child to fever. A baby born healthy, then suddenly stilled. No wound. No cause. Just gone. The mother wailed until her voice broke. Olu walked to her hut in silence. Placed a single carved stone in the baby's hand. Then walked away. He's waiting, someone said. For what? Another asked. A sign? A spirit? Permission? A command? No one knew. But every night the forest seemed to breathe heavier. Like something inside it was awakening. Or hungry. One morning Olu stood at the edge of the village. Wrapped in black cloth. Barefoot. He stared into the trees. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Just waited. When Naya approached, she didn't ask where he was going. She just said, if they had listened sooner, maybe the forest wouldn't have needed blood. Olu looked at her. It still might not. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a bone-carved pendant, and tied it around his wrist. Then speak gently, even when you carry a knife. And without a word more, Olu walked into the forest. Alone. Not as a boy, but as a messenger. Or a reckoning. Olu walked without sound. The wind moved around him but never touched him. Leaves parted. Vines unfurled. The forest recognized its own. He followed a trail no one else could see, marked not by footprints but by absence. Where animals would not go. Where even light changed color. He passed trees that bent toward him. Flowers that closed as he neared, like eyelets. A stream that gurgled his name, backwards. Deeper still. Until he came to the tree. The talking tree. It hadn't moved since he left it weeks ago, yet it felt different. More awake. The mouth in its bark was shut, tight as a wound. But the roots? They shifted. Twitched. Quote. You've returned, came the voice not through the mouth, but through the ground beneath his feet. Olu didn't bow. He didn't speak yet. He only held out his arm. In his hand, a knife of obsidian and bone. Its blade curved like a serpent's fang. Its hilt wrapped in black vine. Do you offer willingly? The voice asked. He nodded. Do you bleed for balance or for revenge? Balance, he whispered. He knelt. plunged the blade into his palm. No scream. No wince. Just the soft trickle of blood, dark, slow, sacred. He let it fall onto the roots, and the moment it touched them, the forest groaned. Not a sound of pain. A sound of memory. Like 1,000 voices exhaling at once. Suddenly the air grew thick. The light dimmed. The shadows gathered, not around him but into him. His skin began to shimmer, not with light but with movement. Images flickered beneath the surface of his body. Asterisk a child thrown into a river. Asterisk a god whispering from a mask. Asterisk a mother clutching an empty blanket. Asterisk flames dancing across a village. Each image blinked across his chest, arms, face, like tattoos of spirit and story. Then the tree spoke again, deeper now, slower. The forest does not forget, but it forgives. Sometimes. Your blood has woken the roots. But now, you must speak the name. Olu's lips trembled. What name? The true name. The one you were given before you were born. The wind hushed. The trees leaned in. And from somewhere deep in his chest, a word rose. Not in any tongue he knew. Not human. Not animal. A name that tasted like smoke and honey. Sharp and soft. Powerful. He said it. The forest shuddered. The tree's mouth opened. Wider. Wider still, until it could swallow him whole. But it didn't. Instead it laughed. A low, ancient sound, older than language. Then you are ready. Roots lifted around him, a crown of woven bark and blood, and settled on his head. You are no longer the boy. You are the voice, the vessel, the echo of balance. And as the forest pulsed once more, every bird that had left returned, in silence. Every branch straightened. Every silence broke. Olu turned back toward the village. And with him came the wind. The village was silent when they saw him. No one ran. No one shouted. They simply stared. Because Olu didn't walk like a child anymore. He didn't blink like one. And the air bent around him like it was trying not to touch something too sacred. The crown of woven root and bark sat atop his head, pulsing faintly as if alive. Behind him, the wind carried leaves that spun in circles, never falling. The people gathered in the square. Hushed. Hands clenched around charms, beads, prayers. Naya stood in the center, her eyes brimming, not with fear, but pride wrapped in sorrow. Olu stopped before her. You found it, she whispered. He nodded. It found me first. Then came the priest. Gogo. Barefoot. Shaking. But still wearing the white of his office, though it hung loose now like cloth that no longer fit. He stepped forward. Olu, he said, voice cracking, what have you done? Olu looked at him, not cruelly, not proudly, just evenly. I remembered who we were. The sky darkened, not with clouds but with birds. Thousands of them. Circling above. Watching. Then the earth trembled once, a soft warning. Olu raised his hand. This land has forgotten balance, he said, voice louder than wind, deeper than thunder. You've taken but not returned. You've asked but never listened. You feared the forest, because you feared yourselves. Some began to weep. Others dropped to their knees. The children stared in awe. A few stepped forward, offering pieces of cloth, fruit, wood, whatever they could give. Olu looked at the offerings, then shook his head. This is not about gifts, he said. This is about remembering. He walked to the center of the square. Kneeling, he pressed both hands to the soil. And the earth bloomed. Green shot from the cracks. Vines curled around broken fence posts. A dead fig tree at the edge of the village burst into fruit. Gasps rippled through the crowd. But it wasn't all beauty. From the shadows near the granary, something moved. A creature, long and thin, stitched from branches and ash. Its eyes glowed faintly. Its chest caved in where a heart should have been. It stepped forward. And Olu stood. I know you, he said. You are hunger. You are silence that refuses to leave. The creature opened its mouth. It screamed, not sound but memory. Pain. Fire. Chains. Varied names. Olu stepped into the scream. Let it wash over him. Then whispered a name, the same name he spoke in the forest. The creature froze. And dissolved into dust which the wind carried away. The sky lightened. The birds flew higher. And the people wept. Not from fear. From relief. Because they had just witnessed the impossible. A child born of silence, who taught the shadows to speak peace. The village never saw him again. Some say he became a spirit, a guardian of the forest's edge. Others believe he lives deep in the roots, sleeping between seasons, waking only when the earth cries too loudly. There are those who swear they've seen him in storms, a silhouette walking calmly as rain dances around him, never on him. And sometimes just before harvest, children say they hear a soft voice whisper, leave something for the soil. The people changed. They remembered. They no longer cut trees without permission. They sang to the ground before planting. They told stories not to entertain, but to preserve. The priesthood was reborn, not in power but in service. Those who listened best were trained, not those who spoke loudest. They built no shrine for Olu. Instead they left space. An empty circle in the center of the village. No huts. No stones. Just silence. That is his place, they say. And we do not fill it. We honor it. Naya grew old, quiet, gentle. She never claimed to be the mother of a god. She only tended her herbs and taught the young ones how to hear wind without ears. But sometimes when the moon was thin and the sky was wide, she would sit outside her hut, press a hand to the earth and smile. Still listening, she would say. Years passed, then decades, and still, the forest never took again. Not a child, not a soul, not a sound. It watched, it waited, protected, because it had been heard. Now the story of Olu is told in many tongues. In Ghana they call him the Echo Sun. In Nigeria the Shadow-Crowned One. In the diaspora the boy who walked between worlds. And always, the one who bled not for power, but for balance. They say if you're walking alone and you feel a chill without wind, speak his name. Not to call him, but to remind yourself that silence is not always empty. It might be watching. It might be waiting. It might be Olu. The end.
Thank you for watching the video to the end. If you find this video interesting, do well to hit the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for new stories.